Hello, welcome to The View from Felaban. I'm Silvia Pavoni, economics editor of the bank, and I'm talking to Jose Umberto Acosta, who is the CFO of Bancolombia. Jose Umberto, it's very nice to see you again. The first time we met was in Panama, when you were just closing the acquisition of the HSBC business there. How is your international strategy going?
Okay. Silvia, thank you very much for the invitation. Yes, I remember very well the meeting, and because of the view of the room in which we were. Yes, the acquisition has been very successful. Right now we are in the middle of the process with HSBC that removing their software and implementing our software. It is a process that will take until the next half of the year. But the things is running according to our expectations. The performance of the bank also, it's according to our expectations. The history of HSBC right now, Banismo, is they have been shrinking the business and they reduced the exposure in 7 years from 22% to 14%. Right now, we believe that in the next coming years, we will be able to go back to recover market share. And we are working on different fields. First, on the technology platform. Second, on the process that we are implementing. And third, in the business, we are growing at a very good pace on the asset side. And on the liability side, right now we were able to provide funding for the operation in Panama. This acquisition is relevant for us because in short term and medium term, the operation will become a hub of liquidity for US dollars because we have a strong base of clients there at around 500,000 clients. And we are right now touching the market in different ways, first with bilateral loans and then with a syndicated loan that we closed successfully a month ago. So Panama is running very well.
And Panama is not the only international market where you have a presence. You have a presence across others in Central America, and I know that your strategy is to be a big bank in small markets. So what has happened in all those markets since last time we spoke, over the past year and a half?
Right. Our first experience were 7 years ago. We acquired Banco Agrícola in El Salvador. As you said, it's a big bank in a small country. At that time, we were 27% market share. Today, we are at around 30%. Very accretive operation, very healthy operation. The level of return on equity there is at around 17%, very efficient. So the performance are very good. Obviously, we have some concerns about the situation in general terms, but the banking is running very well. And the most relevant point is we learn about how to make cross-border acquisitions. So the acquisition of Agrícola changed our landscape about the region. So we learn how to do business in Central America. And also we have an acquisition of a 40% stake of Banco Agrícola Mercantil in Guatemala, which is very interesting, and it's a very interesting economy.
And moving back to Colombia, Colombia is obviously a very interesting banking market, growing at really fast rates, and one where many international players are trying to break into. How tough is competition at the moment?
The competition is always welcome, and obviously it's tough. But the competition obviously will be on the arena, on the corporate side, and on the retail side as well. I would say that the banking industry in Colombia is very solid in terms of the institutions, corporate governance, and in terms of capital structure. So we have been prepared for the future. The regulations are quite strong. If you check the business, the most important banks we have been doing right in the last year is raising capital in order to be prepared for growth. We are expecting that the banking industry will grow 2 or 3 times the GDP, the GDP of the growth of the GDP of Colombia. So I think the Colombian industry is ready for competition, and that will be very, very welcome as well.
That's great, but I also know that the local banks have an advantage being able to raise, or the ones that list with the retail operations being able to raise funds in the local currencies. Will that continue to be discriminated between the most successful banks and the ones that maybe will lag behind a bit?
The story of the Colombian industry are more focused on local currency, and the clients are demanding local currency in a very natural way. But we believe that for the next 5-10 years, they will change a lot, and corporations and the projects will require funding in US dollars. So on that matter, the competition will be very, very, very tough with international because they have an advantage in terms of funding. That was the acquisition of Banismo. It's relevant in order to compensate that advantage and to be prepared for the future, not only in local currency, in which the banks are very strong, the Colombian banks, but also in US dollar lending.
That's great. Thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you, Silvia, for inviting us.